All right, we're back. Rise of the Savage, Intellectual, Jason Slaughter. What's going on, my man? We're doing a quick one today. We're not a quick one, but ad hoc.
That's fine.
On the fly,
creative. Those are often the best ones.
All right, so you looking fresh and crispy. I don't like this look. I don't like it. There we go. All right, I like that better. Okay. So what's going on with you, man?
Just an update. Just like to thank everyone for being here. And then, I'd like to go back, in that first episode, those 5 people live. Thank you. Anyone that's watching, I appreciate. I am feeling the effects of the consistency of eating well and sleeping well. That self-care that we were talking about. I feel better. I eat 3 meals a day. Like square meals, and I focus on not only when but what. So like the eating is huge, for me. Once food is medicine.
It's always amazing to me as a coach. Like, like I run into this all the time that people will be like, "What was the one I got the other day?" It's like, "What about red light therapy? What about what's some other ones? Like, what about this hard 75? What about like there's all these like these work?" And I was just like, and I remember because I've been in this fitness world since it would have been like, well, what do you think about this workout DVD? Or there's all this like wave of at-home workout DVDs, and I'm like, it's just none of it matters if you're just not eating well. Like if you're just not eating well, none of it matters. Nope. So, or you're working against yourself so much, you're eventually something's gonna break, because the food is not only your medicine, but it's the fuel source for everything. Yep. And if you don't, and what people don't understand about the human body is that it is the most amazing, intricate, and even complex survival system. Like your body wants to survive. So like if you don't get enough nutrients, it'll extract from parts of the other body to go somewhere else. Do you know what I'm saying? To reassociate. So let's say maybe an organ might pull from here, or this might pull from that, or so like the body is looking to survive, right? And fuel is the source of everything, from the way you feel, like your neurotransmitters, your hormones, to the way you think. Like you like it's tied to a lot to a more positive attitude, a healthier diet. You got like better gut biomes are tied to better, more mental health. And the list kind of goes on and on and on. So it's like not only is like food, diet, medicine, it's like food is your whole fuel source. And if you take a shitty fuel source, what do you think is going to happen to the system?
Yeah, the body doesn't run correctly, and I have known that from personal experience. Again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist. I have lived experience. John and I were just 2 guys bantering. John has more of a background, in the exercise science and the actual degrees with that. However, I through lived experience with the poor eating and the sleeping and that self-care, eating in particular. It's like running, like you said, like running a car or running, a vehicle on empty, or running it on,
no oil, no gas. Yeah.
Completely different presentation of me. I'm just going to speak, about my experience. I present completely differently, and it's amazing. It's shocking. Like I joked before, some people can have a cup of coffee and a donut and be good till lunch. Yeah. Or be good till dinner. Yeah. I happen not to run like that. And in the future, maybe we can get some doctors on here, with the letters behind the name to actually explain like in depth. But for now, again, we're 2 guys, life experience.
What are you?
There's 2 people. But no, seriously, the food.
Listen, I'm gonna go out and say I'm a motherfucking expert. Straight up.
Close.
I've had actual doctors So let me say this about it. I don't. This is both a defense and I guess a condemnation of doctors, both a defense and condemnation, because it's a balanced view to the fact that I've had doctors that come to me, like I've had one of them that's like the head of cardiothoracic surgery, and the thing is that sometimes one of the things we know psychologically is that a human being will take better care of another human being than they will themselves. So there's been these studies showing about prescription medications that are sent out where like if someone has to give the prescription medication to, let's say, a loved one or an elderly one that's in the hospital, or they'll make sure that person takes it all the way through, takes the antibiotics for their kids all the way through. For themselves, always cut short. People don't take care. They're always, so it's was like a social study in the idea that humans are good people. Like they do, like we'll sacrifice ourselves to take care of people for as much as the world might seem divisive. And everyone's like, there are studies that show the human being at many stages will be very compassionate for other human beings. But at least in the idea of medication and supplementation, which also I believe follows through with the discipline of like food and what you're putting in your body each day and water, is that, people sometimes don't do a good job of taking care of themselves. So even doctors, and so here's the thing with doctors are that I tell people all the time, like, well, my doctor didn't know that, or I was like, well, it's kind of your fault if you're trying to get your nutritional advice from a doctor. That's not what they study. That's not what they spend probably, I'd say $100,000 worth of education on. That's not what they spend countless hours of not sleeping, going through rounds of a hospital. Like when you look at the education, the difficulty to be a doctor, it's like you don't go to them for the things that you should know how to do yourself. Like they're not there to be your babysitter and tell you this is your diet. You should go to sleep at 10 o'clock. That's not in their and it's not in their education protocol.
Unless they're functional. I just want to stop you. Unless they're
so on a whole nother level. Yeah. So functional
of that.
Functional is a whole new wave. Dr. Mark Hyman, Dr. Cannazzaro was on the forefront of that. I actually had someone I knew that had a child that I had them go there, that was actually here in Florida, believe it or not. That's how I found into functional medicine. I actually went to the first functional medicine symposium that was here in Orlando. And I went to it to cover it for a local radio show. And I met Dr. Cannazzaro, and he was awesome because he thought I was like somebody who worked at like a young doctor at a doctor's office, just like trying to ask him questions. And I'm like, no, I want to get you to sit down and be on this radio show. And he's like, what do you do? And I was like, well, he's like, you're not a doctor or a med student. And I'm like, no, I'm a personal trainer. And he's like, you're a personal trainer and you're going to all this. And I was like, well, yeah, I do holistic fitness. So I was like, this is like so in a line. Like finally there's doctors that are looking at things the way as a holistic coach. It'd be great to work with functional medicine doctors because I'm not fighting with the doctor about, oh, don't worry about the food, just stay under the calories. And the functional medicine doctors know that it's not just the calories, it's also what's in the calories and how those calories affect the hormones and how they break down, and that's affected by how good the digestion is, because you could count your calories all you want, but if digestion is not good, you're not getting what you think you're getting, or you're getting more, you're getting some extra damage. You don't realize you're getting with inflammation in the gut and those microvilli and things like leaky gut. And these are all like simple self-care avoidable things. And people are going to their doctor being like, oh, and I can understand a doctor's frustration of like, oh, here comes this fat ass again. It's just like, dude, just diet and exercise. Like, just figure it out. Like, I didn't go to med school to get all this. Like, you're supposed to come to me when you have cancer. You're supposed to come to me when you break your arm. You're supposed to come to me when so I could diagnose something that's like a detrimental catch a genetic disease. Like, I think in a lot of the doctors I talk to, it's kind of like they didn't get into it to monitor people's daily activities, such as like get good water, get good food, get good sleep.
That's why it's
something like that.
And like you said before, like we said in the other podcast, there's good doctors, there's bad, there's good.
Well, this is why you saw the emergence of functional medicine, is that it started becoming this, and then you also saw a legal lockdown in the pharmaceutical industry. So the way that doctors start to get their education for pharmaceutical is through pharmaceutical reps that will put on luncheons, and then they present the data, and they go off their listening. So the interesting thing was, oddly, as much as I was like a holistic coach and doing this, my ex-wife was a very high up regional sales rep for Pfizer. So I would interestingly work with her on what her sales pitches were to get past the gatekeeper. Like, how do you get past the front desk and the nurses and stuff like that? Because I modeled my corporate wellness sales program, which had to get through HR people and front desks to get people to sign up after who the best are at get past the gatekeeper, and pharmaceutical reps are the best at getting past gatekeeper in sales. Like, they're just good because they not only need to know people and be good with people, they need to know, for a good part, like at certain levels, the higher drugs, they need to know their science. So like, you need to know your biochem and your chemistry, you got to explain the data and all that crap, but you also have to have this interesting social network, business social network of the nurses and the office staff and the management to book these lunches and dinners. And then a lot of them come to charity events. And this creates this microcosm of professional networking of that. Then they'll be like, oh, okay, well, I have some clients that are like in this stage 4 and we're looking for a drug. We'll try yours, or we'll put these 2 patients into. So I've seen that pharmaceutical sales process, which does get a very bad rap in the holistic coaching world. I've seen the good side of it. Like I know we're supposed to be really talking about you guys, like going into coaching, whatever.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there.
When you get into the holistic side of things, you start getting these people that really like march to this holistic beat when they first get into like, oh, like big pharma is really horrible and everyone's bad. And I'm like, well, yeah, there's corruption everywhere. Like I said, there's good doctors and bad doctors, you know. But the pharmaceutical industry, let's say at least, has been a very hot topic. But I've seen the way that the pharmaceutical reps network is not too dissimilar to the way a financial reps network in selling financial services products. Because it's all about presenting data of how funds, companies, performances. And what you're doing with the pharmaceutical reps at a certain level up is you're presenting the data of how the drug performs. So it's almost oddly, interestingly the same. You know, the doctor looks at, oh, okay, there's the efficacy of the drug is XYZ, and then now that's how that, you know, and then some of that information is correlated with what's called PubMed. And PubMed is a global resource that I believe it's over 22 some million published. It's the bona fide digital journals, like published, peer-reviewed medical journals. So if it's in the New England Journal of Medicine, you can find it on PubMed and read it in full.
Yeah, I've actually heard of that. I heard
right.
That. Yeah.
So a lot of like so that kind of with the education, which is where this, you know, this I don't want to say conspiracy theory, but I don't know. Like I said, there's good and bad.
Well, different opinion, different.
But there's definitely some corruption. But the idea that there is this network of this interchanging network that's how doctors are educated about the drug. So it's partly through this network of pharmaceutical reps that present the data at lunches and dinners. Anyway, that got way off. The point is, in order for them to fucking do that, they have to be really good at the ability to get past the gate.
What are your thoughts on like preventative versus, like you mentioned, like stage 4, like if someone has like an advanced disease, you know?
Yeah, stage 4, you go to the doctor.
Well, the reason why I asked is because Adam Yauch from the Beastie Boys and Steve Jobs tried to cure their cancer by the time it was late stage. You know, I believe it was pancreatic. You know, we can look it up. And if I say anything that is out of pocket, or anyone who's watching this thing,
full disclaimer,
leave it in the comments. You know,
any one of you 33 people fucking report us. I can find you.
Well, whatever, that's fine. So, point being, Yauch and Steve Jobs, you know, member of the Beastie Boys, and you know,
I get
they try to cure their stuff through nuts and berries, but by the time they had whatever, it was too late. It was too, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if we're advanced enough getting on, you know, the doctor part.
The issue, I get asked that Steve Jobs one a lot. It comes up a lot.
He also did a number on his body in the 60s with, you know, LSD.
Well, so it's like when you're, you know, so even at stage 4 in the medical community, they know a lot, but they also know enough to know they don't know much. It's like one of those like paradoxes, right? They know so much about cancer, they know they don't know anything about it. You know, they're making breakthroughs and they're getting through things like, but there is still a lot that's unexplored on a lot of front. Like, the person I was with, she worked for 2 big name companies that did a stage 4 lung cancer drug. So I got to see a lot of the data on that. And like, I knew what, you know, like I said, she was part of it was a sales thing. So it's like, I was very interested in the sales process of that, but it is the most expensive and lucrative drugs are end of life drugs.
They are, and that's a whole nother. And again, I'm going to try
and
to.
again, so like I said, so just to say, like, yes, like, where's my thought
Yeah.
process on that is that, yeah, you go to the doctor because you might want to be on some of those, like, depending on what it is, of course, you like, my thing has always been, and I've always said this from day one, because I was much more, I grew up a little bit more, I got into weightlifting and training, definitely very Jersey bro gym science.
Yeah.
Meathead, fucking lift until you puke,
Yeah.
get through the pain, right?
Any
Massive.
replacement of protein after that? Any like?
Oh, massive amounts, fucking massive amounts of just ridiculous food. You know, it was like eating tons of pasta. Like I had no idea what we were doing. It was just like just eat, and it was funny. And
Lift, eat.
then,
Okay.
so I've gone for that to then understanding science, because as I said, I was a smart kid and I knew I was good at biology in high school, and I started picking, you know, so I started like understanding the body and reading more, but you know, there wasn't anywhere near the resources. The internet wasn't there, but then I started getting into certifications, and those were a little bit more science based. And then when I started reading the books that were at the bottom, annotated in the certification manual.
Okay.
Oh, this is the blah, 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 sports and science, blah, 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 locomotive spine, blah, 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 you know, and then I look that up and then read that book. And then eventually I had started my own business. So anyway, that always gave me this idea that you always want to have as much knowledge as you can to make a decision. And the bigger decision, the most amount of knowledge you would like to have, so you have the most complete view to make the best decision.
Yeah.
So if you have something as important as stage 4 cancer, then you go to the doctor and you look at the medical process, and you do the other holistic. Like for instance, like not to get too much into it, but there's like different types of chemotherapy that are derived from different things that you can use in post chemotherapy if you wanted to, like, get into the root of it, some that react to the body better, and they show the different studies, but they're not always available everywhere openly. So it's like there are ways to blend both, is what I want to get at, right?
Okay.
And if you're, and my thing also is, you know, stage 4 I look at as a pretty big battle or thing that, like, it would be like, it's an immediate one. So that's what I think doctors come in. Doctors need to be there when there's an immediate issue, you know, an immediate pain. So it's usually more of an immediate injury or immediate pain. Like out of nowhere, you just start getting bad stomach pains. Like, oh man, my stomach. Well, is it when you eat? I don't know. It's like, oh, it's so random. Like, go to the fucking doctor. Oh, I got
exactly.
spleen.
But that's at that level, and our thing is to have that preventative, holistic thing. You know, that's the path that I'm 45. You know, you're not much older than that, and we, you know, by whatever states we, you know, will, barring any, you know, whatever, relatively healthy and move forward. But as we're in our 40, you know, getting to 50s, you know, we, certain things slow down. You know, they say you age drastically more when you're 44 and when you're 60. So at the age of 44 and 60 is when
my issue with those is my issue with that is I don't know those studies offhand, and I don't doubt them. My issue with that is that, and my issue with all studies have been, you got to look at your samples that they're using.
Yeah, no, true. And
listen,
which study it came from and blah, blah, blah.
Listen to me. I think it speaks to not the age. What it speaks to is the lifestyle. So like what we say, like what I say in coaching, and this is not mine, this is somewhere I got, I think it's probably, you know, in that world of holistic and check, or, you know, it's like somewhere in there, like you're paying the price for what you did 10 years. You're either paying the price of reaping the war or what you did 10 years ago. It's your health, right? So like in your 30s, if you're like, oh, my back hurts, it's like you were probably like, I know this from lifting. Well, those are the guys that were lifting too fucking crazy when they're in their 20s. You know, but you know, like you know me personally from that time period. You know some of the big meatheads and heavy lifters that I was around, and some of those dudes in their 30s don't lift anymore because their fucking backs are blown out. And it's what I told them, and then like, what are you doing?
I mean, that goes down to like what we know or don't know when we're, you know, life is
but okay, so like I do
marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, so like so go back to the more like relevant idea of like, okay, 40, 44 or whatever, 60 is that I think you've got 3 or 4 decades of not taking care of yourself with stress. Because like another statistic to throw out to use that what we talk about in people is why we focus on like digestion, and we want to work on digestion with people, is that we know statistically, but we have this in like our sales presentation, like we know statistically speaking from the blah, 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 blah institute that Males lose like up to 1% of their natural hydrochloric acid stomach production every year after they're 30 to 35. So by the time you get to 40, 45, you lost 5, 6, 7, 10%, right? Which means you also notice that there's people like, oh, I can't eat that anymore. And the things you can't eat anymore are like a steak or something heavy or something acidic because you're not producing the stomach acid anymore. I've had a few people that were like, oh, I can't eat. I remember it was funny. It was like, I always tell the story because it's like it's an Italian person who was like, oh, I can't eat meatballs and steak and not pasta anymore in my stomach. And I have to go this. And I'm taking all this antacid. And I was like, just hear me out. And I gave her a supplement protocol that was just based on the stomach lining and natural supplements for what we would call gut restoration, like help rebuild the microflora. And then you had her use a digestive enzyme when she ate that food and reintroduced it to her diet, and boom, like it was back. Like it was one of those like nice crying testimonial calls of like, I can finally eat my old recipes, and that was like an old Italian woman, right? Like I finally eat my old recipes, and I can always and those things with digestion, like compound more because you can go, you can keep going down that route of like looking at the correlating studies to draw how you should look at approaching a client or program design or workout philosophy is. We also know that feel good neurotransmitters and so forth are built in your gut and travel up to your brain to be used. So if you have a toxic gut and you don't have a well operating gut, you're not going to be producing high quality versions of those, and therefore you're slowing down your mental acuity or your right. So you can be more agitated or you can be more foggy.
Yes. Gut health, yes, that's common knowledge too. I mean, I'm sure
now it is. I mean, we were fighting
this brain health.
Yeah, like I was talking about this. This is a hard left, but I was talking about this because of all the political stuff that was going on with RFK. And I'm like, listen, man, I don't care about anything else but the fact that finally something I've been fighting and arguing about for like 15 some years about getting clean damn water and getting the food dyes out and like stop the BS with the food industry and all this crap is finally happening. Like finally someone's listening. So it's like, all this other stuff is noise. Like that's what's important to me. Like, because I know I have always argued if you were to clean up the food intake source of any population, that population will do better. So like if you're in you want to talk about functional medicine, Dr. Mark Hyman is the guy who's like the most known, definitely in social media in the public.
Yep.
I believe he still is, or definitely was, and was the first like head of functional medicine at the Cleveland Clinic.
Okay.
And he has an Instagram and a Facebook. It's his name. It's easy to find. And he was doing testifying in front of Congress about getting the food dyes out. Why does the same factory that makes the food in the U.S. makes the non-dyed one for Canada? Why not just blah 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 blah?
Yep.
So he was really pushing in the political forefront to clean up food as well. And so he's a functional medicine guy, and he's the functional medicine guy, I should say. But that was the idea of like understanding all the importance of gut health. Right. Like, so it's like finally someone, like I said, like when functional medicine came along, it's like, oh, finally people are not calling us dumb, stupid trainers or holistic hippies. It's like, okay, you're recognizing we need to like control stress. Because one of the things that messes up your gut biome is like how to control cortisol and your stomach acid. Right. So it's like, and then you like reach for a quick fix and something that destroys your gut biome, but it gives you a sugar rush. And a sugar rush gives you an insulin rush and a dopamine rush and serotonin. Right. And then
you get that crash.
Yeah, but then you want more. And then the next time you're stressful, your body knows, hey, if I eat that, I feel really good. And I don't want to feel really bad. So eat that, feel good, crash more, eat that. The next thing you know.
Addiction. And that leads back to it, could be an addictive cycle.
And it's a very similar, like you mentioned, it's a very similar psychological cycle as many other pathways that a human being will follow in their behavior, right? Like it's like boom, boom.
Yep.
So I think that I think one of the interesting things is it's one of the interesting things is now it's kind of being recognized like that way. Like one of the things in getting gut health is getting clean water, because you really, so like yes,
clean water. What about foods? What are your thoughts on the organic foods? Are they worth the extra monies? I mean, and I know the preservatives aren't there, so they might not last as long, but you were saying something we were talking before about I don't know the terminology, nutrient dense.
Oh yeah, yes. Give me 1 second, my dog. Give me 1 second. I know where you're going.
I got you. No, all right. So episode 1, we had a little bit there. I had made it my reflection. I've watched that first video over a dozen times. I mean, it helped me out. So like
Okay, go ahead.
what the point
So
of
here's
this whole is to get that coaching, is to advance in the coaching, advance in the self-care, advance, bring knowledge to the different types of foods and the controllables, like that, you were saying, like between John and your background, with the health and exercise science, and the marketing, and just all the knowledge of what's out there and how to do it. Me, I am doing this for the first time. And again, we mentioned last time, physician heal thyself. I think I said it like 17 times, but that's
yeah,
the first person, if you want to talk about that, of
yeah. So I think um, I think that the best so I think the best way to go about um, learning to be a coach is, you got coaching is the thing you got to embody in yourself and coach.
yeah.
So which is interesting because it seems the industry, which means the general population, this is a super general statement, for America, because that's the marketing I know and the predominance of the industry, right? So they respond to non-authentic. Like they
What do you
respond
mean
to
by that? What do you mean by
they
non-authentic?
respond to the fitness drama.
Like the hype,
The
the newest trends.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm trying to get at.
With the hype, okay.
It's like the American population bites into fitness trendy things that are actually not really healthy for you.
Like for example,
So from everything from there's all this grouping of exercise videos, and then there's a whole grouping of these uh, uh, exercise group fitness classes going in the gym business. There are these companies that have these formatted exercise classes that were modeled after boxing or modeled after like lightweight program. And I was like,
or
science.
Bikram,
What?
or
Bikram! First of all, don't you talk about such a genius.
hot yoga, Bikram and the hot yoga. Anyway,
That guy
it's inside joke. When I get down to Florida, I had see John 2019. We saw the thing on Bikram, and it was anyway.
What is it for? Just what's the where was it in
Hot yoga. It was hot yoga. He was
what was the name of the special? Right? Was it Netflix? It was that was like that period I was into like Netflix documentaries nonstop. What was that Netflix documentary?
I
Was
don't
it
even know. It was Bikram. It was whatever it was. It was Bikram hot yoga, and it showed about how he started, and he would sit there with the fan and the air conditioner behind him.
Everyone else was just
their ass off.
Verbally abuse people.
But there is hype. The only reason I mentioned it is
so I could go through, like, for instance, I could go through a whole bunch of these trends from that and exercise classes to CrossFit. CrossFit's like real, like it's almost interesting how it's funny that it's known that it's not good for you and people are still doing it because it speaks to what CrossFit does that is really good is it creates like this community.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, I get it, but I don't know if you're there for community. I think you should be there for fitness and your health first. I think
it goes hand in hand. It's
well, no. Well, it also speaks to the fact of like a mental health, I don't want to say crisis, but to the mental health issue that a lot of people feel alone. They feel like they don't. So even though you're going there and the exercise is shit and you don't feel good and your back hurts the next day, you still want to show up the next day because when you show up, everyone's like, yeah, you're here. Oh, you're here. Yeah, all right.
So you're saying it's too hard? From what I hear you say, it's too hard on the joint. It happens to be hard on the joints. It happens to be
for the most part. For the most part of my experience, which is pretty long time from CrossFit inception to recent, the programming. So like I'm big on exercise programming. So for those that don't know, like what is also very important about a coach is how they program design, not just the workout you're doing, but how that workout fits into all the other workouts that lead up to whatever the defined goal is.
Okay.
All right. So this is very important in the coaching world.
Yeah.
Program design is the roadmap. It's the strategy. So it is not just what you do when you're working out, but it's how what you're doing when you work out fits into the rest of the pieces of all the pieces leading up to whatever the established goal is.
Yep.
Right. So when you're one of the things you do like you're really doing at a higher level of coaching is you bring people in, you do some type of structural assessment on them there's always an imbalance up somewhere in the system and the ranges of motions. I should never do that movement again, but there's always going to be an imbalance, and that's the first thing you want to recognize in the system. And then you almost have to look at what those imbalances are and all the things that need to be corrected, and then all the things that need to be layered in to increase. And then you need to look at their performance and whatever it is. If they're a fighter, if they're a dancer, if they're, there's all these different, if they're a wrestler, if they're jujitsu, if they're, there's all these intricate niches to each different thing.
Sport. So the plan. So what you're saying is the plan is
the plan has to recognize,
whether it's a figure skater, whether it's a football player, weightlifter, wrestler.
Yeah. So like, for instance, a football player, I always love doing program design for football players because you have a whole off season, like 6 months of program design that you just lay out a roadmap. And I was program designing way back in the day at the point where I remember, especially when I would do it for I remember doing it for I had a younger brother. I'd do a program design and a couple of people that were close to me, and I would really everything had to be written. It was the computer was just not really that really accessible. So I would get these binders real cheap. And then what I would do is I would take last year's program and lay it out, because every page was one day, because it was the workout and then any notes from how they felt after the workout. I was always almost like a lab rat type.
Yeah.
The way I was it wasn't super detailed, but it was always the program. Yeah. And when you look in, here's the other thing that the quick tip, if you want to look at if someone's a good coach, program designs are a little intricate because they're kind of like a minor level of a science experiment in a way. So you have these variables in the program design, in the workout, so you're going to do this particular movement for whatever muscle group or performance you want to happen to improve, whether it's range of motion, explosion, strength, or bicep curl, press, whatever it is that's declared or stated. So you have this movement, and then you have to look at how many times you're going to repeat that movement. And then you're going to look at then you're going to rest, and then you got to look at how many more times you're going to do that clustering of repetitions.
And what interval?
So in program design, we would call this the repetitions and the sets. So most people would know 3 sets of 10 or 3x10. That means you're going to do 10 repetitions 3 times, right?
So just layman terms, so usually from what I understand, the lower your reps, the higher the weight. That's for bulking up. And then the higher the reps, the lower the weight is for, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. What's the?
Yeah. So it's a little bit more
trying to get in shape,
Yeah. It's a little bit more complex than that. So, so that used to be the prevalent knowledge, because it kind of really got pushed out by a lot of shitty gym salespeople that saying oh, you want to do cardio and this is blah, blah, blah. So there was, the same explosion in the group fitness world for the group class that advocated, it was a body pump class is what they called it. I won't say the company's name, but
no, don't.
Les Mills. I was being nice, man. I was trying to be nice, but you had to push me.
It's on you, man. Like I said,
listen. Here's the other thing too. This is not uncommon knowledge, because there's many of these companies have often changed ownership and are now corporates, and there's been all these different lawsuits, and there's been all these different claims. Like, you go in any kind of fitness forum and you'll see all them talking about this stuff way worse. But there's no doubt that Les Mills was probably the biggest group fitness provider of group fitness formatted classes. So if you would pay a fee once per month, they were pioneers of the industry. You would pay a fee once a month, and then they would either find you their certified instructors who had these super awesome. And when it first started, like any company, it was like fire. It was real high quality. And I think just like anything else, it just couldn't keep the quality as it expanded so bad. So far, right? So the idea was, hey, when you get this Les Mills thing, we either find you an instructor, or we give you the script. They wear these colorful shirts. There's a spin class. There's a kickboxing version of their class, a spin class version of their class, and a weights version of their class. Yep. And then I think there was more. Eventually, they did a yoga one and all that, right? They spun out. I had done gym consulting in New Jersey. I took over several gyms to consult that had them, and I had to work with the owners to make a financial decision. Was it worth spending the money on it? And sometimes that decision was no. So,
Okay.
so I've been, so it's like a known thing in the industry that one, they were probably the hottest, fastest growing, and probably still most dominant one. Like my Qigong certification that I've been working on, which has been a while, uh, White Tiger. So like, it's funny. I like don't even care to take the test. I just do it as I need it. Like I didn't do it to be a Qigong coach, but I took the certification just to learn it to do myself so I could learn to breathe and keep my crap together. I know I'm losing more control when I'm not doing my Qigong and my Tai Chi. This stuff is dope. But anyway,
that's part of the routine. So
yeah,
I mean,
breathing
we get back to like exactly like the movement or whatever. I'm just was trying to open it up to people who's just trying to maybe.
So the body. So yes. So what happens is the proliferation of that would sell you on the idea that you don't want to be in the gym with the heavy weights. That'll bulk you up. If you do these light weights in this class format, fast repetition, light weights, high reps, that's for leaning you out. And there is a partial truth to that. There are instead of going through debunking and going through that,
just general. I just want a general.
What's more useful is to say, here's a better way to look at it. Remember how we talked about food as being a fuel source?
Yeah, medicine.
The body being a really great survival mechanism, wants to survive and adapt and so
forth. Fantastic machine the body is.
So it's a machine. So good. So you said so it's a machine. And what you want to look at is that what's cool about this machine is it regenerates. So like if you stimulate it, it'll regenerate stronger, bigger, faster, better. So part is the fuel source, which we cover that. You gotta have the good fuel. The part of the movement is to look at the components of the machine. And in that component, you have muscle fiber types.
Okay.
And different muscle fiber types compose different parts of the body and do different things for the body and therefore respond to different stimuli.
Okay. Now we're getting some.
Yeah. So typically, and this is also if you were like a doctor of physical therapy, strength coach, what I'm about to say, they would say it is like, well, that's a super generalization. So it's like, it's always interesting. There's always levels to this game, but here's a pretty fair generalization, better than bigger, stronger, more reps. Right. This one is the idea that your fast twitch fibers predominantly will respond better to high weights, low repetitions, explosive movements. And these are
where the fast twitch fibers found. Arms,
you'll find them in your hamstrings are your best fat, like a great example of a fast twitch fiber.
Quads, hammies.
Yeah, your hammies and your quads, where your calf, I believe, is a slower twitch.
Okay.
And your calf is more of a stabilizing one, keeping that ankle knee stabilized, while the hamstring really rips at the quad to generate this kicker, which is turnover, which is how you are mobile. This is what they call locomotion.
Okay.
Right? So bipedal locomotion.
Right?
Makes us unique as a mammal. We have bipedal locomotion. We stand up. Right?
Yep.
So when you look at the mechanisms of the machine that move, and it's this amazing machine that will regenerate bigger, stronger, faster if I stimulate it right. So that's why things like hang cleans and push jerks and Olympic lifts give you power and explosion that even translate to a punch.
Okay.
And that's a little bit further down the road, but a punch actually starts not in your shoulder.
Hips.
Not in your hips. It starts in your feet.
That's right. Right. Twisting of the, all right. Yep.
Well, it's the driving in the ground and transmitting the energy through your hips and then twisting and
twisting.
Going through.
Okay.
It's also why, the best boxers have the best feet.
Their footwork.
Exactly.
I don't know the guy's name, but I know a champion. His father had him take 2 years off and do dancing, and he ended up being one of the greatest boxers. His foot, I forget who it is. The next episode, I'll look it up. But
I wouldn't be surprised.
That's interesting. It's really, really interesting. So that's something that someone can do, and something that I would keep in mind.
Here's what I would say is I kind of tell people to use this as a bullshit radar. So here's the kind of like a weird business coaching tip. So when you're a coach, one of the things you're gonna have to do is like sell people on your services.
Yeah.
And like I said, you notice that these people just want to buy into something that is like super cheerleader-ish, like very rah-rah-ish, and almost kind of promises this quick fix or this guaranteed fix. That's why it's like, You had these explosions of these at-home workout programs and DVDs because it was like, hey, you're going to come with me. And Peloton's like it. People talk all the time about Peloton. Like, oh my God, I love my Peloton instructor. I'm so motivated. I can't wait to log into him. And I'm like, well, that's a whole nother thing. But because of posture issues, like cycling is not always your best alternative. But anyway.
What about T25?
Oh, you went, I think the powers that be froze you. I think I knew where he was going with this. I think I knew where he was going with this, but let's see if we can save him real quick. But yeah, I think for one of the BS meters you can catch is when someone's telling you that they want to like, they're gonna get you a really good booty by doing like some type of like low impact, no weights exercise because the glutes are a predominantly fast twitch fiber. So, and you can see this, the best example a lot of people will use is the sprinters. If you look at a female sprinter from the Olympics, I'm going to take Jay off real quick. You look at a female sprinter, let's say at the Olympic level, and they will have like very round, very well sculpted glutes, and then even some crafted legs. When you look at someone like maybe more long distance based where they don't have to generate fast power and speed in a quick movement over and over and over again, but with a good rest interval, and the long distance runners, no rest over a low impact, long time, they tend to not have any glute development and not much leg development. So if you look at that example and you understand that it's just a tiny bit level of the science of the idea that there's different muscle fiber types and they're going to respond to different stimuli, and very generally speaking, the fast twitch fibers, which are a lot of the nice looking ones, like they're going to respond to that higher weight, lower rep, faster movement, which would be an explosion. You could do a slower eccentric movement with a fast concentric movement, something like that. And then your other stabilizing muscles that respond to what will have actually would be a different range. But again, I would just to keep it simple, leave it at that. See if we can get Jay back. I can't. All right. Let's see. We'll do a pause. All right, we're all good. Got Jay back. Let's get you in there steady. All right. All right. So while you took a nap, I just kind of cleaned up on the fast twitch, slow twitch fiber thing, but
okay.
I think I started going down a rabbit hole again, but I stopped. I'm good. I figured we're at 42 minutes. We can wrap up a little bit.
Yeah, we'd like to go forward. Just to recap, the body, mind, spirit that we went over on the first episodes, and the controllables. Lead into, the philosophy, of the physician heal thyself. So I'm training, John is training me, as far as to be a coach. And I would like to, say a holistic, would I be wrong? A holistic, overarching theme as far as, the foods anyway. But yeah, so that's
I'm going to make you a dark holistic strength coach.
Dark holistic strength. Okay, there we go.
Okay,
whatever. Dark, light.
That's how you do.
I'm dark, too light. It's fine.
Can I take a little gray area? You can tell. Jay's from Jersey.
I am.
We're gonna make you a dark. Okay, all right. Hey, listen. You know what? Maybe a little bit of gray. Can we meet you in the middle? Listen, so my thing is this. I think one of the things we wanted to jump on here real quick was I talked to you about this offline. I think Jay would make a good, I'm good at spotting out talent for good coaches.
Yep.
And we talked about in a previous episode, Jay is in the teaching industry.
Yep.
So it's also seasonal. And I think that if you're a teacher and you like to do it because you're mentoring and teaching and educating, being a coach is not only an extra supplemental income, but we would need more coaches like you in the industry versus, people are just getting in it to kind of be more meatheadish or make a buck or sell a whole bunch of people. And so, so I've been in this industry.
Commentary.
Yeah, I've been in this industry for so long and I've seen so many things. And I've worked for so many different types of formats of fitness services, from so many different, even just types of brick and mortar gyms to
Yep.
online companies
Yep.
to corporate wellness to global, like
Yep.
all these different, from different types to different sizes to outside the country. And so it's, so I always tell people you'd be very surprised at how the health industry is not healthy. Like there's a lot of there's a lot of shadiness, like especially in the health.
As in any industry.
No. I think it's much worse. I think it's much worse.
Like, we can talk about that.
100%. One of the probably the best things is to do an episode on like gym stories with John. Of like, there was a time I actually literally was talking to a guy in New York that wanted to pitch, and I didn't really follow up on it because it just one of those missed opportunities, as I'll say is. But we got to talking, and he worked for, I think it was TMC, Turner
Movie
TNT,
Classic.
Maybe it was TNT, Turner Movie Classic, I think it was.
TMC is Turner Movie Classic, yeah.
Yeah, Turner Movie Classic it was. This was in New York City, and I was at like a pretty prominent training studio. And he was like, he wanted to do I started, he was like, I was telling him about how I go into these gyms and I rebuild them and their family.
Yep.
This is when I'm young. This is like about 3 or 4 years after I graduate college, right?
Yep.
And he's like, I want to make a documentary on this. He's like, this is insane. He's like, you're like this restaurant. So at that time, the restaurant rescue things were getting big.
Yeah.
So it was kind of one of those things. So I've kind of like, from going in being a consultant to growing up in the industry, I got my first job in a gym at like 14, so it's like, I've seen it all, done it all, but it would be good to get good people into it. I think you'd be good at it. It fits it for you. So one of the things I always wanted to do with this, I don't know if we'll still do it under Savage Intellectual, maybe do it under like coaching calls or something like separate, like put a separate play. So on YouTube, I'll put it as a separate playlist. So it's easy reference.
Okay.
Future ones, but kind of give everybody the idea of what it's like to coach with me, but also like from Jay's perspective, what it's like to go through becoming a coach. Because the first thing, one of the things you really need to learn besides being a good, like hand in hand and being a good coach in program design is also understanding how to build your business and get your clients. And with that, I think we're going to leave you on a cliffhanger because Jay just cut out.
Yeah, I don't know. No, that's my thing.
Oh, you're there. You're there.
I'm here. No, I'm here. No, last time was I pulled the plug out of the wall when I jumped up on my chair. So this time, we only have a few minutes. I got to, actually do that self-care with, we spoke about in
But no, I just said that, we're just what I said was the perspective thing. One, seeing it from coaching with me, but also what it's like to kind of go through being a coach. Because what Jay kept saying, the famous quote of physician heal thyself, and the food is medicine, speaks larger to the holistic concept that if you're going to be a coach, one of the first like really components of a holistic coach is you work on yourself first. And a big component that I learned from, again, you'll hear me reference Paul Chek a lot. I think the best holistic coaching program was Paul Chek's HLC one in person. Because that's really what you did with the days of the seminar and work with them is like working on you. And then as you work on you, you learn the systems to apply to someone else.
Yeah.
And then you embody what you're coaching. And it's really great. It's beautiful. I think it's one of the best holistic ones. But so with that, I've always taken that, and what I do and teach is that if it's like so everyone will get to see that.
Real quick, shout out Paul Chek.
Oh, you got the book.
Eat, move, be healthy. Sir,
yep.
Yes. I don't know if it's upside down or
no, you got it right.
Backwards. But yeah, no, that's I have the materials, I have all the tools, and just again moving forward, and appreciate you, John.
Yeah, that book, we're gonna get into that book. It's like when we do the coaching call, and a lot of stuff that I begin my coaches with on the sales side, it's sales, building business, like how you're gonna sell somebody, is rooted in how you can explain what you do. And a lot of what you do,
of course.
And the best person, and I always say this, Paul Chek says there's times like there's clips of Paul Chek saying, I'm not a good salesperson. I'm not a good salesperson. And I always say Paul Chek's the greatest holistic salesperson. The best sound bites have come from him. Like I pulled so many of his sound bites in a sales thing to close somebody or to get them to understand. Like he has one that's called, and we'll close with this, is there's no sense in having golden nails if the wood is shit.
Yeah.
And he speaks to, if
Yeah.
you're going to spend all this money on supplements, what's the point? They're just the nails if all your food is bad.
Yeah, I mean the nutrients, and again, I would like to,
Well, we'll
talk
get
about the nutrients in foods versus nutrients in vitamins versus drinking the water. Actual like tips on if you're eating a lot of
yes.
protein,
I think
cut it with that water.
yeah. So for a future note for people to take note, what we'll do is we're going to split these up. So what runs very parallel and highly influenced by when I did my HLC with Czech is what in FIA we call the 6 controllables. And they're split up into those exact things you said, which is thinking and starting with there, and then of course the
Breathing,
breath, drink, sleep, food, movement, and when we get to food, one of the first things we really talk about is A, the fuel source, and B, the nutrient density. Bang for your buck. Are organics better? The short-term answer is yes. There's more nutrients in it. That's what the information shows. You want to kind of pull all this other correlative shit that, it doesn't show in the performance or the real life study. When I put my athletes on it, the responses is absurdly different.
I feel bad. So for me, like I eat all organic. My whole lifestyle completely changed, flipped around and
to end was a great thing. Like summarize what we started off with, which was you relating the fact that now you've done enough time on this healthy diet and self-care that you're like
sleeping, self-care, talking to people. So again, I make teas, turmeric, pepper, cinnamon, lemon, and ginger. So ginger, turmeric, and I heat it up fresh, cut them up, boil it, let it sit for about 20 minutes, half hour. And I have that, I cool it down, and I have that with my tea in the morning. I drink anywhere from 6 to 8 glasses of tea, moringa tea, a lot of them, elderberry, ginger lemon, ginger turmeric. But that starts my day. Then I go, again, we did what we did before, go to my higher power. Then I eat my 3 eggs, avocado, half a banana, half a toast, and then that's a breakfast. And then, lunch, we're doing like a chicken with the vegetable, eating the vegetable first, and then my dinner, eating
why eat the vegetable first?
I heard it, and again, I was curious about your thoughts on it. I heard the vegetable, to get the nutrients in the vegetables, you're supposed to eat them first, and then it goes. You don't believe that?
I mean, I'm sure somebody could put an argument together, and I think this is why coaching is both art and science.
Yep.
The art of it is, my philosophy is digestion. Digestion overrides everything.
Okay.
And when it comes to digestion, you want to have your heavier proteins first.
Okay.
It goes into the stomach acid first, and then. And you also, another thing that people make a mistake is you don't want to drink a lot of liquids, and you definitely don't want to drink a lot of fluids.
No, I don't. That's another thing I don't do. I don't drink during. I wet. Quote my grandma.
You want to invert it.
Whistle. That's it. I wet my whistle during the meal. That's it.
And the other issue too is that when you're looking at the secondary measure that we look in our program or our diet design is controlling insulin and cortisol. So if your overriding goal is to control insulin, there's a lot of factors we can get on that. Another show is that what we want to do is that you want the proteins and fats to enter the system first, and then the carbohydrates.
You recommend that, okay? And then 80%
drastically blunts the blood sugar reaction.
Then do you one last thing before wrap it up? Do you recommend that 80% only eating till you're 80% full? Like I do that. I'm not gluttonous. I don't like that feeling in my body when I just eat until I'm just completely into like a meat coma. Like a food coma. I only eat till like I feel kind of full, and then I have a little bit of water or whatever, and that's how I've been doing it.
We say you eat until you're satiated. We really people understanding that you feel replenished.
Yeah,
because like it's even that slight psychology. I'm not going to say it's as over here as NLP, but it is that I do believe in word choice and semantics, and it is that idea of getting them the client and thinking of the idea that food is the fuel source. That's why it's got to be clean and it's got to be on time. Yeah. Right. Like, and it's not important just how much. Like, it doesn't matter if you get 5 gallons in your car. If you put 5 gallons of fucking diesel in your car, it's not going anywhere.
No, not a regular car.
So it's like
it'll do a little.
So calories calories in the hierarchy are subjected to the hormonal reaction that food causes. Primarily for us, we're focusing on that insulin result of what that food is doing.
Okay.
Second to that is the cortisol result, which is linked to inflammation. Is that food causing an inflammatory response in the digestive?
And that's where I do the turmeric. I do the turmeric. Has been helping. He's been good. Yeah. It's really,
that's a great natural anti-inflammatory.
Celery, some celery too. But overall, just to summarize again, I just that consistency, and I've been able to with this time to do that. I've been blessed to be able to have the time to, and it didn't feel like it at first, but now I understand. I understand that I was given time to, to heal and grow, and I'm at the spot where I feel close to 100%. I know before is asked the question, if I was to start on Monday, would I be, or whatever, ready? I'm ready. I am ready to go. I feel awesome. The tips that I took from you, the books that I'm reading, the support that I get, and it's all that body, mind, spirit, that check-in, going to my higher power, and it's everything, bringing it together. And honestly, people as well, like people have helped me out, and I haven't dumped on people. I've, communicated if I'm feeling a certain way, but combination of everything. So the
you want to upgrade to your program?
Yes, always.
So let's throw some movement in. So let's start you with movement, right? Like you're pretty good.
Well, I do that. Well, I've been doing. Oh, again, I forgot to mention. I do my sit-ups and my push-ups. I do my 100 sit-ups, 100 push-ups.
Yeah, we're now gonna add the actual movement. That's part of the coaching.
Okay, perfect.
Right, right. So it's not like saying, "Hey, go walk," or right. Like, so this is an addition, right?
Awesome.
You got the book.
I'm down. I do have the book.
Right. You got the book. I mean, you got the checkbook. What I want you to do is each day try to do one zone.
Eat, move, and be healthy is the name of the book.
Yep. Each day, try to just do one zone and journal how you feel. Yeah,
I will. No, and journaling again, we talked about before. So the journaling.
You're gonna have zone 1, zone 2.
Yep.
You're gonna just look at it, read it, try to do a couple reps how they tell you to do it, because the reps are based maybe on breath and time.
Okay.
The two things you would need, you don't have to, because you can kind of skip these or give an order. But the two things you want to have is a Swiss ball, a stability ball.
Okay, Swiss ball. Yep.
And 3 things. I'm sorry: a Swiss ball, a foam roller.
I have one. Yep.
And then the third one would be a blood pressure cuff.
I have that too.
Okay, because there's some really good deep abdominal pelvic floor type exercises where all you're going to do is like pump up the thing and put it underneath your low back, and it just teaches you the little minor movements of the low back. Right. So just the Swiss ball looks like you need, and then just each day try to do somewhere either in the morning or night, one zone.
All right.
So later when you go through the coaching, you do, and it's in that book. You can do it on your own in the book for people that buy it. Is that you'll take a test, and the test will tell you which zone you're the worst in, and that's where you start. But as a coach, what I loved is the head instructor took us each day. We went through went through everything. We did every zone, every exercise. So just go through each one and experience it, and see if you notice anything.
Okay,
you experience it.
We'll do, and then we'll meet back.
All right, we'll be back soon, and we might split it off and do a whole separate playlist later, like just a coaching call.
Yeah, that works. Wherever it goes. Appreciate you.
Yep, appreciate you too, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate everyone that comment, like, share. Really appreciate anybody like push it. If it give us comments if there's something that we said on this you want to expand upon, or something that we said that you want more of, or you disagree with, like I'm open to it. All right. Otherwise, I'm gonna hit the rock and roll.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna throw in the old. Nope, that's the wrong one. How are we doing this one? There we go.
Ooh. Good stuff. Love it.